Another night, another mystery. Welcome to Midnight Arcana. My name is Jonathan. I am 28 years old, and for the past few years, my life has been a relentless loop, endless highways, flickering neon signs of gas stations, and the suffocating silence of cheap, transient motels. I work long, punishing hours. There are nights when the road becomes my only companion, and the hum of the engine is the only lullaby I know. Sometimes I drive for days without seeing the walls of my own apartment. Eventually, every small town begins to look the same. Every motel room carries the same scent. A stale mix of industrial cleaner, old carpet, and the memories of 1,000 strangers who slept there before me. Every road, no matter where it leads, becomes just another endless, dark stretch of asphalt, pulling me further into nowhere. Last Tuesday, exhaustion finally caught up with me. It wasn't just a simple fatigue. It was a bone-deep weariness that seemed to pull at my very consciousness. I'd been behind the wheel since the first gray light of dawn. My eyes burned, stinging with every blink. My shoulders ached, tight and knotted from hours of rigid focus. All I craved was the sanctuary of a motel room, a hot shower to wash away the grit of the road, and the blissful, heavy oblivion of a 12-hour sleep. I pulled out my phone, the screen's harsh blue light cutting through the dim cabin, and opened my GPS. I searched for the nearest lodging. The route it suggested promised to save me 40 minutes. Route 50. People call it the loneliest road in America. And tonight it lived up to that reputation. For miles there was nothing but the vast, empty desert. An ocean of sand and scrub, swallowed by the night. No glowing towns. No headlights of passing traffic. No comforting flicker of human activity. Nothing but an oppressive, heavy darkness that stretched toward the horizon, like a curtain that refused to lift. I had driven Route 50 once or twice in the daylight, but never at night, and certainly never during a storm. I was pushing my limits, driven by a desperate need for rest. Around 1 in the morning, the atmosphere shifted. Thick, bruised clouds swallowed the moon and the stars, leaving the world in total obscurity. Then the rain began. At first it was a soft, rhythmic tapping against the roof, almost hypnotic. But within minutes, it transformed into a violent, relentless downpour. The windshield wipers struggled, their desperate back and forth motion barely clearing a path through the deluge. Then came the lightning, jagged electric scars across the desert sky. For brief, blinding seconds, the entire landscape was illuminated in a harsh, white glow, revealing the desolate beauty of the desert, before plunging everything back into a terrifying, deeper darkness. That was when I saw the car. It sat motionless, a ghost on the side of the highway. Its headlights were dead. No emergency lights flickered to warn me of its presence. No movement stirred within. It was just a dark, jagged silhouette standing defiant beneath the torrent of rain. My first instinct was to keep driving. Stopping for a stranded stranger in the middle of a desert storm felt inherently wrong. A bad idea born of a tired mind. But something inside me, a gnawing, irrational unease, made me reconsider. What if someone was hurt? What if they were trapped, unable to reach out for help? I slowed down, the tires hissing on the slick asphalt, and parked behind the vehicle. The driver's side door was slightly ajar, swaying slightly in the wind. The windows were heavily tinted, an opaque barrier that hid whatever secrets lay inside. I rolled down my window, the roar of the rain flooding into the truck. "Hey," I called out, my voice sounding small against the thunder. No answer, only the drumming of the rain. I tried again, louder. "Are you all right? Do you need help?" Nothing. Only the howling wind. Only the thunder. Only the suffocating silence of the desert. I pressed the horn, the harsh, blaring sound cutting through the storm, but there was no reaction. Then, a massive lightning bolt shattered the sky. For a fraction of a second, the world turned into a bright, overexposed photograph. And in that frozen moment of light, I saw it. In the back seat, someone was sitting, a person, still, motionless. They were looking directly at me, their face a blank, pale mask. The light died. Darkness rushed back in, heavy and suffocating. My heart skipped a beat, then hammered against my ribs. I blinked, trying to make sense of what I had seen. I looked again, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The back seat was empty, completely, undeniably empty. I let out a nervous, jagged laugh. Hallucinations, I told myself. You've been awake for 20 hours. The mind plays tricks when it's shattered by fatigue. That had to be it. I shifted the truck into gear and sped away, trying to outrun the phantom image, but the chilling sensation of being watched didn't fade. It crawled along my spine. 10 minutes later, my truck violently pulled to the right, a jarring jolt that nearly threw me into the ditch. The vehicle slid, tires fighting for grip on the wet pavement, before coming to a stop near the shoulder. My heart sank. A flat tire, of course. Just my luck. The storm was reaching its crescendo now. Rain pounded against the roof like hail. My phone was a useless brick. No signal, no connection to the outside world. I was completely isolated. I decided to stay in the cabin, locking the doors and waiting for the storm to break, hoping another driver might pass. 5 minutes crawled by. Then I heard it. Footsteps, heavy wet footsteps moving through the mud outside. They were slow, deliberate, as if someone was making sure I heard them. They began to circle my truck. I scanned the mirrors, heart in my throat. Nothing. The shadows were impenetrable. The footsteps continued, rhythmic and maddening. Once, twice, 3 times, never stopping to catch their breath, never rushing, almost as if they were waiting for me to break. Another flash of lightning, brighter than the last. For a heartbeat, I saw a figure standing about 20 feet away. Tall, unnaturally tall. Its limbs were too long, its movements too stiff. It stood there, arms hanging low, just watching. Then darkness returned, and it was gone. I locked the doors again, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. Another flash. This time there were 2 figures, then 3. They stood in a circle around my truck, perfect statues in the rain, watching, waiting, yet not one of them dared to approach. It was as if an invisible line prevented them from touching my truck. Hours felt like an eternity. At some point, exhaustion forced my eyes to close. A dangerous, heavy sleep. Then the radio crackled to life. Static. Distorted, high-pitched whining. A ghost of a country song drifted through the speakers, before being replaced by a man's voice. It was weak, layered with static, but the warning was clear.
Don't look at them.
I froze. My skin turned to ice. The radio hissed. Then the voice returned, strained and desperate. Whatever happens.
Do not get out.
I grabbed the radio, frantically twisting the knobs, trying to tune out the sound or find a source. But it was just noise. The voice spoke one final time, a whisper that seemed to echo in my own head. They can't touch you until sunrise, then silence. A deafening, absolute silence that was far more terrifying than the storm. I wanted to believe this was a nightmare, prank or a cruel breakdown of my psyche. But who would be here in the middle of a desert hell, playing games? I drifted into a fitful, dreamless sleep. A violent knock jolted me awake. A blinding flashlight beam cut through the windshield. A sheriff stood outside, his silhouette imposing in the dim light. I rolled down the window, a wave of relief so intense it almost made me weep. He looked to be in his late 50s, a man with a weathered face, graying hair, and tired, knowing eyes. "Son," he said, his voice gravelly, "are you all right?" I poured it all out. The car, the footsteps, the tall figures, the radio. The sheriff listened with agonizing patience. He didn't look surprised. He didn't even flinch. He just nodded slowly. "You're lucky," he said. "Lucky?" I asked, my voice trembling. "They left before sunrise." I stared at him, confused. "They? Who are they?" For a second, a look of genuine discomfort crossed his face. He sighed, a sound of deep, weary resignation. "There are stories about this road, son. People disappear here. Drivers hear voices. Some see things walking beside their cars. Most call it stress. Some call it exhaustion. And some..." He paused, looking out into the empty desert. "Some call it something else." I stepped out, my legs shaking. The rain had finally stopped. The first rays of morning light were bleeding across the desert floor, and I pointed to the tire. "It exploded. I know it did." The sheriff knelt, examining the tire. He stood up, looking at me with those sad, tired eyes. "Son, there's nothing wrong with this tire. It's perfect." I pushed past him, looking at the rubber. He was right. No puncture, no wear, no damage. It was impossible. "Get some rest," the sheriff said, walking back toward his patrol car. "There's a motel about 20 miles ahead." As he walked away, I noticed it. The ground was thick with mud. My boots left deep, heavy impressions everywhere I stepped. But where the sheriff stood, nothing. Not a single mark. Not a disturbance in the mud. As if he had no weight. As if he weren't truly there. I arrived at the motel, but sleep was impossible. I opened my laptop and began to search. Route 50. Disappearances. Storms. Ghosts of the highway. After an hour of frantic clicking, I found an article from October 1987. The headline hit me like a physical blow. "Sheriff. William Carter dies during storm while responding to distress call." Below it was a photograph. I felt my blood turn to ice. It was him. The same face. The same tired, knowing eyes. William Carter had died 37 years ago. His patrol car was found abandoned on Route 50. His body was never recovered. Witnesses claimed that for 4 hours after his death, his patrol radio continued to transmit. One dispatch recording was famous. Only 4 words. "Tell them not to leave." I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. I still don't know what was circling my truck. I don't know who spoke through that radio, but I know this. Something watched over me on Route 50. And whatever it was, whatever saved my life, had been waiting on that road for 37 years. The story ends here. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more tales from the dark. Until next time, keep the lights on